Have you ever asked yourself, why do I let things get to me so easily? A small comment, a weird look, a mistake from the past, someone not texting back, and suddenly your whole mood shifts, your energy drops, your mind spirals. You start questioning yourself, your worth, your direction. Why? Why do emotions have the power to take over your life so fast, so often? Here's the truth. Most people are walking through life like open wounds, unprotected, unaware, vulnerable to every opinion, every failure, every little wave that shakes the surface. But here's the part no one tells you. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to be at the mercy of your emotions. You don't have to break every time something doesn't go your way. You don't have to absorb every piece of negativity that's thrown at you. You can become something else. You can become calm under pressure, still in chaos, clear in confusion. You can become emotionally bulletproof. And no, that doesn't mean cold. It means controlled. It means your peace no longer depends on how others treat you. It means your focus doesn't shatter when life doesn't play fair. It means you take your power back. Because here's the harsh reality. If the world can trigger you, it can control you. And if you let it control you, you'll never live your own life. This video is not for the weak-hearted. It's for those who are done being fragile. For those who are tired of being pushed around by thoughts and feelings that don't serve them. If you stay with this message till the end, you'll walk away with more than just motivation. You'll leave with the mindset that stops you from being emotionally drained, ever again. You'll learn what the strongest minds on this planet already know, and what the world hopes you never discover, that your emotions are tools, not masters. You'll stop asking, why do they treat me this way? And start saying, let them. I remain unmoved. So if you're ready to finally build a mind that doesn't break, no matter what comes your way, if you're ready to train your emotions, not just feel them, if you're ready to wake up and never be bothered again, then keep listening, because the world is loud, the world is messy, and the world will never stop testing you. But once you become emotionally bulletproof, none of it can touch you. Not the betrayal, not the gossip, not the failure, not even the voice in your head that says you're not enough. Because let's be honest, that voice is your biggest enemy, and for years, you've believed it. But not anymore. Not after today. Not once you understand what emotional strength really is. It's not pretending to be okay. It's not faking a smile. It's not bottling up your feelings. It's knowing what to respond to, and what to ignore. It's choosing your battles. It's being calm, not because life is easy, but because you've trained your mind to be stronger than the noise. And yes, this strength is learnable. It's not a gift. It's a decision, a skill, a way of life. Look, the world will always be unpredictable. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. Your path will shake. But what if you didn't? What if you could stay grounded, no matter the storm? What if your emotions were no longer chains, but weapons, sharp, focused, and in your control? This is how the greats operate. Not through luck, not through pretending, but through clarity, through self-mastery, through emotional discipline. They don't let the world break their spirit. They expect adversity. They train for pain. And they respond with power. That's the difference between those who rise and those who run. Between those who own their life and those who are owned by it. So, ask yourself right now, are you tired of being easily broken? Tired of letting others dictate how you feel? Tired of reacting, overthinking, doubting? Then decide. Right now, decide that today is the day you become untouchable. Not emotionally numb, but emotionally armed. Because you weren't born weak, you were born with fire. You've just forgotten how to use it. Let this be your reminder. Let this be the moment everything changes. Stay with this until the end, and you'll learn how to reclaim your mind. You'll learn how to walk through this world, unshaken. There's a reason so many people feel powerless inside their own minds. It's not because they're weak. It's not because they're broken. It's because they've been conditioned to react, instead of reflect. From the moment you were born, the world taught you to feel first, think later. It told you that emotions are truth, that if something hurts, it matters. If someone disrespects you, you must strike back. If you feel fear, you must stop. And you believed it. So now, every time life pushes, you flinch. Every time someone disapproves, you shrink. You start protecting your feelings more than your future. That's the trap. It's not what happens to you that breaks you. It's how you process it. You internalize pain. You attach your worth to outcomes. You give strangers the power to define how you see yourself. One comment can ruin your whole day. One failure can shake your confidence. One person walking away can make you question your value. That's not life. That's emotional slavery. And it's exhausting. You wake up drained, not because you worked hard, but because your mind never stops spinning. You rehearse every mistake. You replay every argument. You worry about things that may never even happen. You lose peace, not from the outside world, but from the war happening in your own head. Most people don't break because of pressure. They break because they never learned how to carry it. And that's where the real problem lives. You've been taught how to chase goals, but not how to protect your focus. You've been shown how to smile, but not how to stand strong when everything's falling apart. They tell you to stay positive, but never explain how to stay powerful when your emotions scream otherwise. So what do? You bury it, you suppress, you pretend. But pretending isn't strength, it's a slow collapse. Because eventually, everything you hide comes back louder. Anger becomes bitterness. Sadness becomes self-hate. Fear becomes paralysis. And you don't just suffer in silence, you carry it into every part of your life. Your relationships become tense. Your dreams lose urgency. Your potential gets buried under layers of emotional weight. It doesn't have to be this way. But to change, you first have to see how deeply your emotions are running your life. Think about it. How many decisions have you delayed because of fear? How many opportunities have you missed because you were afraid to be judged? How many moments of peace have you lost because someone said something that triggered an old wound? These aren't small things. This is your life being shaped by forces that live inside your head, not in the real world. Because here's the truth. Most people don't even need enemies. Their own thoughts defeat them before life even tries. They wake up already doubting. They speak to themselves with cruelty. They prepare for the worst, then wonder why they feel broken. This is the silent pain that's never discussed. The emotional weight people carry while pretending everything is fine. It's the smile at work while your confidence is crumbling. It's the silence during conflict because you don't trust your own voice. It's the constant comparison, the self-judgment, the fear of not being enough. And all of this creates one outcome: hesitation. You hesitate to speak up. You hesitate to take risks. You hesitate to love yourself. And that hesitation robs you. It steals your time. It drains your ambition. It limits your growth. Because when you live in reaction, you can't live in power. You get stuck in cycles of overthinking, overfeeling, and underliving. You become the kind of person who avoids discomfort at all costs, not realizing that growth only exists in discomfort. That's the damage emotions, because when they lead the way unchecked. It's not that you care, it's that you care too much about the wrong things. You want to be liked more than you want to be free. You want to avoid pain more than you want to embrace change. You want peace, but you don't want to fight for it. But no one gets strong by avoiding pressure. No one builds resilience by running from difficulty. The world isn't going to stop being chaotic. People won't stop judging. Life won't stop testing you. So you have two options: keep being shaped by your emotions, or start shaping how you respond to them. That's the real power. Not suppressing how you feel, but not letting it control what you do. It's understanding that emotions are real, but they're not rulers. They're guides, not gods. And once you see this clearly, you begin to rise. You begin to untangle your identity from your feelings. You start moving forward, even when your emotions say, stay down. Because strength isn't about always feeling confident. It's about moving even when you don't. It's not about never being hurt. It's about not letting hurt define who you are. You've already lived too long being pulled in every direction by temporary emotions. Now, it's time to create something permanent. A mindset that doesn't crumble under pressure. A spirit that doesn't shake when things go wrong. That kind of strength starts the moment you stop asking your feelings for permission and start telling them the direction. From here, everything begins to change. There is a price you pay for letting emotions control your life, and that price isn't obvious at first. It creeps in quietly. It hides behind bad habits. It masks itself as stress, fatigue, doubt. But over time, it takes everything from you. Every moment you waste overthinking what someone said. Every hour spent replaying old arguments in your mind. Every day you carry someone else's opinion like a weight on your back. That's time, gone. Energy, drained. Potential, wasted. When emotions rule your world, you don't just feel pain, you begin to normalize it. You get used to chaos in your mind. You expect disappointment. You start accepting less than you deserve, just to avoid discomfort. And soon, you find yourself living in survival mode. Not thriving. Not creating. Not building. Just getting through the day. That's not living. That's existing. It kills your focus. You can't build anything meaningful when your attention is scattered. You can't stay consistent when your emotions are in charge. One small trigger, and your motivation is gone. One unexpected situation, and your goals get pushed to the side. It's like trying to run with chains on your feet. No matter how badly you want to move forward, something always pulls you back. And those chains aren't made of metal, they're made of emotion, resentment, fear, shame, insecurity. You carry them because no one ever taught you how to drop them. It bleeds into your relationships too. You start expecting others to fix what's broken inside you. You look for comfort, not connection. You crave validation more than truth. And when people don't meet your emotional needs, you either chase harder or shut down. That creates distance. It builds walls. It makes love feel like a battlefield. Because when you rely on others to regulate your emotions, you give them the power to destroy your peace. It affects your self-respect. You start bending your boundaries to keep the peace. You avoid conflict even when your soul is screaming. You let people walk over your values just to avoid feeling uncomfortable. And every time you do that, you lose a piece of yourself. It doesn't stop there. It changes how you see the world. You start viewing everything through the lens of past wounds. You assume people are out to hurt you. You expect failure. You start believing that emotional suffering is just part of life. It becomes your story, and stories shape your identity. When you let emotions run wild, you begin to play small. You talk yourself out of opportunities. You lower your standards. You settle for a life that feels safe instead of a life that feels right. You start avoiding growth because growth requires pressure, and you've been trained to fear pressure. But the cost doesn't stop at peace. It doesn't stop at wasted time or broken confidence. It steals your future. Because every time you don't show up, every time you don't take action, every time you stop yourself because it's too much, you're pushing your dreams further away. No one talks about how many dreams die, not from failure, but from emotional exhaustion. You can have all the talent, all the intelligence, all the desire, but if your emotions keep knocking you down every time life tests you, you'll never make it. Not because you weren't capable, but because you weren't steady. People quit on themselves too early. Not because the dream wasn't real, but because they didn't have the emotional foundation to keep going when things got hard. This is the hidden cost. You never reach your full power. You never tap into your highest self. You live half awake, half confident, half happy. And the saddest part, you start believing that's just how life is. You tell yourself, maybe I'm not cut out for more. Maybe this is just who I am. But it's not. It's just who you've become after years of letting emotions lead. You weren't born afraid. You weren't born ashamed. You weren't born to be controlled by feelings. But somewhere along the way, you were taught to be fragile, to be reactive, to tie your self-worth to the way life treats you. And now, every area of your life suffers. Your relationships, your focus, your ability to take action, your willingness to risk, even your ability to feel joy without guilt. That's the cost of being easily shaken, of letting every situation decide who you are in that moment. Until you learn to master your emotions, you'll always be chasing peace, chasing clarity, chasing motivation. But those things can't be chased, they have to be built, and they only start showing up when you start showing up differently. Because emotional strength doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you attract, what you tolerate, what you build, what you become. You can't afford to keep living as a prisoner to your feelings. Not if you want to lead, not if you want freedom. Not if you want to walk through this life with power, not fear. You've already seen what emotional weakness costs you. Now imagine what emotional strength could give you. That life? It starts with one decision, to never let temporary emotions decide the direction of your permanent future. You don't have to live in reaction. You don't have to flinch every time life hits. You don't have to keep carrying the weight that was never meant to stay. There is another way, a better way. It begins with one quiet truth. Your emotions are not the enemy. They're just messengers. They tell you what you've believed for too long. They reveal what you've held onto that you should have let go. They expose the cracks in your mindset, so you can fix them. But you must stop giving them the power to steer your life. You can learn to observe without absorbing, to feel without falling, to notice without reacting. That's the shift. That's the beginning of becoming emotionally bulletproof. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. It's about separating who you are from what you feel. Feelings are like weather. They come, they go. But you are the sky. You don't move with every storm. You remain. Most people let emotions sit in the driver's seat, but strength comes when you move them to the passenger side. You still hear them, but you no longer obey them. You start taking control by noticing first. Notice the triggers. Notice the patterns. Notice how quickly you give your peace away. Once you notice, you begin to regain your power. Because awareness is the first weapon. Every time someone criticizes you, your mind says, I'm under attack. But now, you pause. You ask, is this true? Is this useful? Is this worth my energy? That single pause can change your entire day. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to defend yourself every time you feel misunderstood. Silence can be strength. Distance can be wisdom. Stillness can be power. And when you stop reacting, you start creating. You create space in your mind. You create stability in your soul. You create clarity in your direction. You no longer get pulled into every argument, every mood, every distraction. You become unshakable, not because life stopped testing you, but because you stopped losing yourself in the test. That's what emotional strength looks like. It's not loud. It's not angry. It's not dramatic. It's calm. It's grounded. It's intentional. You move with purpose, not pressure. You speak with clarity, not desperation. You stand with confidence, not ego. You no longer beg others to understand you. You understand yourself. And once you do, nothing hits the same way anymore. Words lose their power to wound you. Opinions lose their grip on your mind. Setbacks lose their ability to define your worth. You don't crumble when you're judged. You don't fold when you fail. You don't run when things get hard. Because now, you have a core that's built on truth, not emotions. You start choosing what builds you, not what breaks you. And the choices begin stacking. Better thoughts, better boundaries, better habits, better life. You stop allowing your emotions to hijack your future. You start training your nervous system to feel discomfort without collapsing. You become calm under pressure, focused under stress, peaceful in the middle of storms. That's when everything begins to shift, not just in you but around you. People feel the difference. They see the steadiness in your energy. They sense the power in your presence. You stop chasing validation. You start commanding respect. Because people respect what doesn't bend under pressure. They respect what doesn't react to chaos. They respect what holds its ground, not from arrogance, but from self-control. And the most powerful kind of control is emotional control. The world is noisy. It throws fear at you. It throws drama at you. It throws endless opinions, temptations, distractions. But once you build the muscle to stay unmoved, everything changes. You hear the noise, but you don't live in it. You see the storm, but you walk through it untouched. You feel the pressure, but you don't break. That is what it means to be emotionally bulletproof. You rise above, not because you think you're better, but because you've done the work. You've learned to carry yourself when no one's cheering. You've learned to stand still when the world tries to push you. You've learned that your peace is yours, and no one gets to take it without your permission. That is the shift. The moment you decide that how you respond is more important than how you feel, you reclaim your time. You protect your energy. You sharpen your mind. You walk through life with quiet confidence, because your peace is no longer tied to anything outside of you. Now you're not chasing strength. You are strength, calm, steady, unstoppable. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Emotional strength isn't something you're born with. It's not a talent. It's not a gift that only some people have. It's built, piece by piece, choice by choice, day by day. It's made in the dark moments when no one's watching. In those quiet hours when you're tempted to react, but choose not to. When you're disrespected, but stay grounded. When you're misunderstood, but remain calm. That's where the foundation is built. It starts with discipline. Discipline to choose what's right over what's easy. To stay consistent even when your emotions scream for comfort. To stay aligned with your values, no matter how chaotic the world gets. Discipline is the bridge between the person you are and the person you could become. And that bridge is built on actions, not feelings. Every time you show up, especially when it's hard, you send a message to your mind. I'm in control now. Not the fear, not the anxiety, not the anger. You begin to train yourself to stay calm under pressure, just like the strongest people do. They don't avoid pain. They build the muscle to walk through it without losing their identity. That muscle is built through self-awareness, knowing your triggers, understanding your patterns, noticing the thoughts that cause your emotions to spiral. Most people never question their thoughts. They believe everything their mind tells them. But real strength comes when you learn to observe your thoughts without becoming them. You begin to say, this is just a thought. I don't have to obey it. And that gives you freedom. Because the moment you realize not every emotion deserves a reaction, you start making better decisions. Another piece of the foundation is responsibility. Owning your reactions, owning your moods, owning your growth. When you stop blaming the world for how you feel, you start gaining real power. You stop saying, they made me angry. You start saying, I chose to respond with anger. That shift changes everything. Now you're not a victim of your emotions, you're the architect of them. You also need boundaries, not just with people, but with yourself. You must train your mind to stop going places that hurt you. Stop entertaining stories that bring you down. Stop feeding emotions that rob you of peace. That's a boundary too. Choosing what you allow to live in your mental space, because your energy is sacred, and not every thought deserves access to it. Emotional strength is also built through patience. Patience with the process, patience with yourself, patience with growth. You won't master it overnight. You'll fall. You'll slip. You'll react when you wish you hadn't. But every time you stand back up, every time you reflect instead of regret, you're building a stronger core. Not a perfect one, a resilient one. And with that resilience comes clarity. You begin to see through emotions that used to blind you. You notice the gap between feeling and reacting. And in that gap, you make your most powerful decisions. You decide not to fight battles that drain you. You decide not to chase people who don't value you. You decide not to explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. That's clarity. And it only comes when you stop letting emotions decide your direction. Another pillar of strength is self-respect. You stop tolerating things that make you feel small. You stop betraying yourself just to fit in. You stop chasing approval because you've already approved of who you are. That self-respect becomes your anchor. Even when the world tries to shake you, you stay centered. Not because you don't feel, but because you've trained yourself to rise above the noise. You begin to honor your emotions without worshiping them. You listen, but you don't obey. You feel, but you don't drown. You fall, but you don't break. That's power. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. And most importantly, emotional strength is built through belief. Belief that no matter how hard it gets, you can handle it. Belief that you are not your past. Belief that your worth isn't measured by how others treat you. When you believe in your ability to endure, to adapt, to overcome, your whole reality changes. You stop running. You start facing. You stop fearing. You start trusting. You realize life doesn't get easier, but you do get stronger. You don't avoid pain. You grow through it. You don't silence fear. You walk alongside it. You don't control the storm. You become still within it. That's emotional strength, not perfection, not numbness, but unshakable presence. It's not something you wait for. It's something you build, from the inside out, from small decisions made consistently, from choosing to rise, no matter how many times you fall. And every time you rise, you get closer to that version of you who no longer reacts, no longer crumbles, no longer doubts. That version of you who doesn't just survive, but leads. Calm, clear, unstoppable. Strong emotions will always try to rise. But when your habits are strong, emotions don't control you. You control the moment. Habits are the armor, the invisible shield that guards your energy, sharpens your focus, and protects your peace. They're not just routines. They're the daily decisions that shape who you become when life pushes back. The first habit is stillness, not silence. Stillness. Moments in your day where you slow down, disconnect, and reset. No noise, no distractions, just you, sitting with yourself. Most people avoid that silence because they're afraid of what they'll hear. But if you want strength, you have to learn to sit with your mind, not run from it. Stillness teaches you to listen deeply, think clearly, and respond wisely. You stop being pulled in every direction because you're finally centered. The second habit is detachment, not from people, but from outcomes. From things you can't control, from expectations that steal your joy, from needing everything to go your way. When you let go of control, you gain peace. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't obsess. You trust that whatever happens, you'll handle it. You stop tying your happiness to external results, because your inner state is no longer up for negotiation. Another habit is mental check-ins. You pause during the day and ask, where is my mind right now? Is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is this emotion real or just familiar? These questions interrupt the automatic patterns that usually run your life. They give you the power to reframe, reset, and realign before you drift too far. One of the most powerful habits is keeping your word to yourself. Small promises, tiny commitments, daily wins. When you say you'll get up, and you do. When you say you'll train, and you follow through. When you say you'll stay calm, and you keep your cool, you build self-respect. And with self-respect comes quiet confidence. You start to believe in your own power because you've seen it in action. You trust yourself, not because of what you say, but because of what you consistently do. Another vital habit is selective attention. You must learn to protect your mind like it's sacred, because it is. What you watch, what you read, who you follow, all of it shapes your emotional state. If you feed your mind drama, chaos, and noise, don't be surprised when your emotions feel heavy. But if you feed it wisdom, clarity, and truth, you stay strong even when the world shakes. Your mind becomes what you train it to consume. Surround yourself with inputs that build, not break. Protect your mental diet like your peace depends on it, because it does. Also, learn the habit of stepping back. Not every situation needs your reaction. Not every opinion deserves your defense. Not every insult requires a reply. Stepping back doesn't mean weakness, it means power, the kind that doesn't need to be loud to be felt. When you create space, you allow clarity to rise. You stop speaking from emotion and start responding with wisdom. Another habit that makes you unshakable is movement, not for looks, for energy, for control, for discipline. Training your body trains your mind. When you push through physical resistance, your brain learns that struggle isn't the end, it's the doorway. You build grit, you build focus, you build the internal fire that doesn't burn out when life turns dark. A strong body leads to a stronger spirit. Because when you choose discomfort on purpose, life's unexpected challenges feel smaller. Gratitude is another armor piece. Not the kind you force, the kind you feel, the kind that reminds you, even in pain, there is something valuable here. Gratitude grounds you. It reminds you that life isn't just happening to you, it's happening for you. Even the hard parts, when you train your mind to look for good, you start finding strength even in the storm. You stop breaking from what happens, you start building from it. And one more. Protect your sleep. Rest is not weakness. Recovery is not laziness. A tired mind is an emotional mind. When you neglect rest, everything feels heavier. Stress feels louder. Frustration shows up faster. Doubt creeps in easier. But when you're rested, you're sharper. You're calmer. You're more in control. Recovery isn't a break from growth. It's part of it. All of these habits, stillness, detachment, mental check-ins, keeping promises, intentional input, stepping back, movement, gratitude, and rest. They don't just improve your days, they build your identity, and that identity becomes your shield. When life throws chaos, you don't react with panic, you respond with presence. When emotions rise, you don't get pulled in, you stay above it. When things don't go your way, you don't collapse, you adapt. Because you've built habits that don't crumble under pressure. You've built systems that protect your peace. You've built a lifestyle that makes you strong, even when things get hard. This isn't about controlling life. It's about preparing yourself so well that no matter what comes, you don't fold. You rise, because when your habits are right, your reactions don't run your life. You do. Most people run from pressure. They avoid it, they fear it, they see it as something to escape. But the truth is, pressure is not your enemy. It's your teacher, it's your mirror. It's the only thing in life that reveals who you really are when things stop being easy. Pressure doesn't break you. It reveals the cracks that were already there. And that's not weakness, that's information. It shows you what still needs work. It shows you what's real and what's just for show. It pulls off the mask of comfort and asks, are you really ready? Pressure exposes your limits so you can stretch them. It pushes your patience so you can grow it. It challenges your mind so you can strengthen it. It doesn't care about what you say. It watches what you do when your plan doesn't work, when the schedule gets wrecked, when the people you counted on vanish, when life presses its weight down on your back and asks, will you carry this, or will you collapse? Those moments are not punishments, they're gifts in disguise, because pressure sharpens you. It doesn't feel good, it's uncomfortable. But growth doesn't happen where things are easy. It happens where things are hard, and you show up anyway. When you stop seeing pressure as a problem and start seeing it as preparation, you stop avoiding it. You start welcoming it. Not because you love pain, but because you've learned something deeper. Pain is proof that something real is being built inside of you. Pressure forces focus. It strips away the unnecessary. It reveals what matters. It shows you where your attention goes when everything feels urgent. And in that chaos, you learn how to breathe. You learn how to slow down inside. Even if the world outside is moving fast, that calm inside the storm, that's not born in peace. It's born under pressure. And the more you face it, the more you realize, pressure doesn't shrink you. It introduces you to your power. You don't grow by wishing for strength. You grow by being placed in situations that require it. The pressure to deliver. The pressure to stay calm. The pressure to show up when no one claps. That's the battlefield where emotional control is built. Pressure teaches discipline. Because you won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel clear. You won't always feel strong. But you can still act with strength. And that's what separates the average from the unshakable. When pressure comes, it gives you two choices: fall back into who you were, or rise into who you're becoming. Most people fold. They let emotions lead. They give up, shut down, and blame the moment. But the strongest people, they lean in. They get curious. They say, what is this moment trying to teach me? Because they understand, pressure isn't here to punish. It's here to reveal what still needs refining. It's not just about pushing through, it's about growing through. You don't get stronger by avoiding hard things. You get stronger by walking through them and realizing you didn't break, you were just being rebuilt. The key is to not personalize pressure. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you, to build grit, to shape patience, to deepen awareness. You're not meant to be comfortable all the time. You're meant to evolve. Pressure is part of that process. And here's the deeper truth: the version of you that is calm, confident, and in control. That version is on the other side of the pressure you were resisting. You think breaking down is a setback, but sometimes breaking is the moment you finally let go of the old self that's been holding you back. It's not the end, it's a doorway. The pressure doesn't destroy you, it destroys what no longer serves you. It burns away the lies you've believed. It strips the fake strength that was built on approval. It tears down the emotional habits that kept you stuck, and what's left? You. The real you. The grounded you. The version that doesn't crumble at every challenge, because you've been tested. And testing builds trust, not in others, but in yourself. You stop needing perfect conditions to stay strong. You stop needing people to act right for you to feel balanced. You stop depending on life to go smoothly just so you can be okay. Now, you're okay no matter what, because pressure forged you. And once you've been through enough storms, you stop fearing the thunder. You stop running when clouds show up. You walk with your head high, knowing you've already survived what you once thought would break you. That's emotional armor no one can give you. It's earned, one moment at a time, one challenge at a time, one pressure test at a time. So don't run from the weight, stand up. Because pressure is not punishment, it's preparation. Every time you face it, you're not just surviving, you're rising. Your mind believes the voice it hears the most. And for most people, that voice isn't kind. It criticizes, it doubts, it repeats every mistake, every failure, every fear, like a loop with no pause button. But here's the truth: how you speak to yourself shapes how you face the world. If your inner voice is harsh, life feels heavier. If your inner voice is weak, pressure feels bigger. If your inner voice is always negative, even the best days feel dull. Self-talk is not just thinking, it's programming. The words you use inside your mind become the beliefs you live by. And those beliefs determine how much peace or pain you carry. You don't rise with external motivation. You rise when your inner world shifts, when your mind becomes a place that fuels your strength, not your fear. Start listening to the way you speak to yourself when no one else is around. Catch the patterns. Notice the tone. Would you speak that way to someone you love? Because if not, then why speak that way to yourself? The mind doesn't care if it's true or not. It just repeats what it's fed, and the more you feed it negative words, the more it believes them. That's how doubt grows. That's how insecurity gets louder. That's how you start expecting to fail before you've even tried. But this isn't fixed. You can change the script. You can rewire the loop. It starts by becoming intentional. Speak to yourself the way someone strong would, even when you feel weak, especially when you feel weak. Say, I've made it through worse. I know how to stay calm. This pressure will pass. I am built for this. These aren't lies. They're reminders. They pull you back into alignment when your emotions try to take over. This doesn't mean ignoring your pain. It means talking to it like a leader, with clarity, with direction, with strength. When you speak to yourself with respect, your mind starts to obey. It listens. It adjusts. It stops reacting from panic and starts responding with power. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is this. Stop saying I can't handle this. Start saying this is hard, but I can handle hard things. That one sentence changes everything. It flips the story. It moves you from victim to warrior, from overwhelmed to focused. Your words are not just sound. They carry energy. They hold weight. They shape how you show up for yourself and for the world. Start using your voice as a weapon for strength, not destruction. Catch the thoughts that tear you down and challenge them. When you hear I'm not good enough, ask, compared to what? When you hear I always mess things up, ask, is that true? Or just something I've repeated so long I believed it? This is how you reclaim control. You stop accepting every thought as fact. You become the editor of your own mind. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Repetition creates belief. Just like negative self-talk can build insecurity, positive self-direction can build power. It's not about being fake, it's about being intentional. Because you don't get emotionally bulletproof by accident, you build it word by word, choice by choice. Here's the truth, no one tells you. You are always affirming something. Whether it's weakness or strength, failure or faith, you are constantly repeating a message. Make sure it's one that serves you. Say it when you wake up. Say it when things go wrong. Say it when you feel low. Say it when you don't believe it yet. Because the voice in your head becomes the script of your life. It either limits you or frees you. Don't let past experiences write your future mindset. Just because pain happened doesn't mean it gets to speak forever. You decide which voices stay. You decide which thoughts get airtime. Every time you choose to speak powerfully, your emotions take a step back. Every time you repeat words of courage, your reactions lose their grip. You train yourself to become calm, not by hoping, but by speaking. You rewire the fear, not by avoiding it, but by facing it with new language. This is not magic. This is mental discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about choosing the next thought on purpose. Even when emotions flare, even when doubt shows up, even when you don't feel ready, you speak the version of yourself you're becoming, until it becomes who you are, not just sometimes, all the time. Because your self-talk isn't just background noise, it's your greatest weapon. And when you learn to control it, you stop being controlled by anything outside of you. That's what makes you bulletproof, not a lack of emotion, but a mind trained to rise above it. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. Let your voice inside lead with direction. Let your words carry purpose. Let your language reflect the strength that already lives in you. Not tomorrow, not when it's easy, right now. Because the strongest people don't wait for silence, they create it, not outside, inside. There's a point where emotional strength isn't just about what you build inside. It's also about what you cut off outside. Not everything deserves access to you. Not every voice should reach you. Not every presence should remain in your space. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They don't shut the world out. They protect what matters inside. Strong people don't let everything in. They choose what stays. They guard their peace like it's priceless. Because it is. Too often, people drain their energy not because they're weak, but because they refuse to let go of what's toxic. They keep saying yes to people who only take. They stay connected to environments that constantly stir anxiety. They allow patterns that sabotage their emotional growth. Being emotionally bulletproof means knowing when to step back. It means recognizing what's costing you your calm. It means protecting your mind from unnecessary noise. Peace is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Without it, your thoughts become scattered. Your decisions get cloudy. Your energy becomes reactive. You can't stay grounded if your space is always shaking. That's why boundaries are not selfish. They're strategic. They allow you to show up fully without being pulled in every direction. They let you give love without losing yourself. If something or someone is draining your power, it's your job to notice it, and more importantly, to do something about it. Start paying attention to how you feel after certain conversations. Do you feel clearer or more confused, lifted or pulled down, at peace or on edge? Your body knows the truth even before your mind wants to accept it. Every time you allow something that weakens your spirit to stay, you send a message to yourself, this is okay. And slowly your standards begin to drop, your tolerance for dysfunction increases. You begin to think chaos is normal, but it's not. It's just familiar. And the familiar is comfortable, even when it's destructive. But to grow, you have to rise above comfort. You have to choose what's healthy over what's easy. And that often means making hard decisions. Maybe it's distancing yourself from someone who always brings negativity. Maybe it's saying no more often, even if it disappoints people. Maybe it's walking away from environments that force you to shrink just to fit in. Whatever it is, understand this, your peace is worth the discomfort of letting go. You can't become unshakable while clinging to what keeps you emotionally unstable. And it's not just about people, it's also habits, distractions, endless scrolling, negative media, constant noise that doesn't teach, doesn't grow, doesn't inspire, just fills your mind with clutter. If your inner world is always on edge, look at your outer world. What are you allowing in? What are you feeding your attention to? Every piece of content you consume, every conversation you stay in, every environment you walk into, they're all shaping your state of mind, whether you notice or not. Guarding your emotional space is a form of self-respect. You don't owe anyone constant access. You don't have to explain your silence. You don't need permission to protect your peace. People might not understand. Some might call you distant, some might take it personally. Let them, because the ones who value your growth will understand your silence. They'll respect your space. They won't punish you for putting your mental health first. And the ones who don't were never aligned with your journey anyway. Boundaries are not about control. They're about alignment. When you set them, you don't just create space. You create clarity. You make room for what actually supports your evolution. And it's not just about removing what's toxic. It's also about strengthening what's true. Fill your space with voices that lift you, books that sharpen you, silence that heals you, people who challenge you to rise, not crumble. Because every boundary you set is a message to yourself. I matter. My peace matters. My energy is not for sale. That mindset turns you from reactive to intentional, from emotionally exhausted to deeply centered. And once you taste that clarity, you'll never want to go back. Not because you hate others, not because you think you're better, but because you finally learned what your peace is worth. And once you understand the value of peace, chaos is no longer attractive. Being emotionally bulletproof is not about having a hard shell. It's about having a strong filter. You stay soft where it counts, kind, loving, compassionate, but firm when it matters, clear, steady, grounded. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for needing space. You stop bending to please everyone else at the cost of betraying yourself. Your energy is currency. Spend it wisely, protect it boldly, honor it daily. Because in a world full of noise, those who protect their inner world become unstoppable. You don't need everyone to understand your boundaries. You just need to enforce them with quiet strength. Because real peace doesn't shout. It stands firm. It walks away when needed. It chooses stillness over noise, clarity over confusion, and truth over comfort. That's not weakness, that's power. Emotional freedom begins where attachment ends. Not the kind of detachment that makes you cold, but the kind that makes you clear. Clear about what matters, clear about what drains you, clear about what you can't control, and never needed to. Most people suffer not because of what happens, but because they hold on too tightly to what no longer serves them. They carry people who have already walked away. They replay mistakes that cannot be undone. They grip expectations that life never promised. The tighter you hold on, the heavier it gets. The more you force things to stay, the more peace slips through your hands. Detachment is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's realizing that your power doesn't come from forcing things into place. It comes from releasing your need to control every outcome. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that you'll be okay, even when life doesn't go the way you planned. It means standing in the storm without losing your balance. Some things were never meant to stay. Some chapters were meant to close. Some people were only lessons, not lifelines. Pain multiplies when you resist reality, when you keep chasing what doesn't chase you, when you keep watering what no longer grows. There's a quiet strength in walking away, not in anger, but in clarity. There's power in closing doors that once felt like home, but now only echo with emptiness. You don't need to prove your worth by holding on. You don't need to fix what keeps breaking. You don't need to carry emotions that belong to someone else. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring about yourself just as much. It means protecting your peace more than pleasing others. It means making space for new beginnings by letting go of what's already ended. Sometimes you need to feel the pain to learn the lesson, but you don't need to live in that pain forever. Healing happens when you stop feeding old wounds. You are not what you lost. You are not the opinions that broke you. You are not the failures that haunt you. You are the person who survived it. Your value never depended on what left. It was never tied to their love, their approval, their presence. You existed before them. You'll thrive after them, and once you stop trying to hold everything together, you'll see. You were never falling apart. You were just holding too much. Detachment teaches you this. The more you release, the lighter you rise. The more you let go, the more peace finds you. You begin to understand that you don't need to chase what aligns. What's meant for you flows. What's true doesn't require force. What's real won't cost your peace. You stop needing closure from people who never gave you clarity. You stop needing apologies to move on. You stop needing perfect endings to start fresh. You choose to free yourself, not for revenge, but for renewal. You give yourself permission to stop explaining, stop waiting, stop suffering in silence. And something powerful happens when you do. You begin to focus on what you can control, your breath, your actions, your mindset, your response. Because while you can't control the storm, you can control your anchor, and that anchor is your perspective. Let go of the need to be understood by everyone. Let go of the desire to fix what keeps breaking. Let go of the guilt that was never yours to carry. Start choosing peace over proving. Start choosing growth over grudges. Start choosing freedom over fear. This is the essence of detachment. It doesn't take your heart away. It just puts it back in your hands so that you can protect it, nurture it, and direct it where it truly belongs. You weren't meant to break every time someone walks away. You weren't made to collapse every time life changes course. You were built to stand, adjust, and rise. Letting go is not the end. It's the beginning of space. Space for better. Space for stillness. Space for strength you forgot you had. Every time you release a weight that was never yours, you take back your energy. You take back your time. You take back your life. And when you learn to detach with grace, no opinion can shake you. No rejection can stop you. No loss can define you. You become centered, calm, grounded. Not because life is perfect, but because your peace no longer depends on it. So let go, not because you have to, but because you deserve to. You deserve to feel light again. You deserve to move forward without the past pulling you back. You deserve to walk freely, unchained by what didn't work out. This is how you become emotionally bulletproof. You stop bleeding for what doesn't see your worth. You stop holding on to what holds you back. You stop waiting for the world to bring peace, and you create it from within. That's not detachment from life. That's connection to your highest self. There comes a point where nothing outside can shake what's built inside. That's the place of unshakable peace, where noise doesn't reach your core, where storms may rage, but they no longer move you. Not because life gets easier, but because you've gotten stronger. Because you no longer react, you respond. Because your emotions don't own you, you guide them. Because your value isn't up for debate, you've already claimed it. This is the power of locking in. It's not a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. To stand when it's easier to fold. To believe when doubt whispers louder. To stay rooted when everything around you feels uncertain. In a world full of distractions, opinions, and pressure, it's easy to get lost. To forget who you are. To let outside forces shape your identity. But locking in means coming back home to yourself. Every single day. It means you know who you are, and you don't need to perform to prove it. It means your self-worth doesn't rise and fall with people's reactions. It means your joy isn't borrowed from approval, it's grown from within. That kind of strength is rare, because it's quiet. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to impress. It doesn't chase validation. It walks in certainty. The world will try to distract you with drama. People will test your boundaries. Situations will challenge your calm. But the moment you decide that peace is non-negotiable, everything begins to change. You stop allowing petty things to steal your power. You stop taking everything personally. You stop letting fear shape your future. And most importantly, you stop looking outward for answers that were always inside you. It takes maturity to stay calm when provoked. It takes discipline to choose silence over reaction. It takes strength to not fight every battle you're invited to. The goal is not to win arguments. The goal is to win back your focus, your clarity, your stillness, because that stillness is where wisdom lives. That quiet space inside you, that's your control center. And when you protect it, nothing can break you. Not betrayal, not disappointment, not failure. Because even when you fall on purpose. And when you rise with power. Locking in also means not letting your emotions drag you into places your logic has already left. It means being emotionally aware, but not emotionally controlled. It means holding your ground when your feelings try to pull you away from your values. Every time you resist the pull to overreact, you build mental muscle. Every time you stay grounded, instead of getting caught in the chaos, you rise above it. You begin to see clearly. You begin to hear your inner voice. You begin to live with intention instead of impulse. That's how you lead yourself through the storm, not by escaping it, but by walking through it without losing your peace. You start showing up differently. You stop explaining your growth to people still committed to their old version of you. You stop wasting energy on trying to be understood by those who are not ready to understand themselves. Instead, you protect your space. You value your time. You master your thoughts. You become fully present in your own life. And with that presence comes power. Because when your focus is locked in, distractions fade. When your purpose is clear, fear shrinks. When your mind is steady, pressure doesn't crush, it sharpens. Living unshaken doesn't mean life won't test you. It means you've trained your mind to handle the test. It means you've planted your roots deeper than the winds of life can reach. You stop flinching when things don't go your way. You stop fearing failure. You stop waiting for perfect conditions to move forward. Instead, you adapt. You adjust. you evolve. Because you've realized that your emotional safety doesn't come from comfort, it comes from growth. Growth means pressure. Growth means discomfort. Growth means breaking old patterns and building stronger foundations. But through it all, you remain locked in. You don't let temporary feelings ruin permanent peace. You don't let setbacks define your future. You don't let outside noise distract you from inner truth. This is the mark of someone who is emotionally bulletproof, not numb, not careless, but conscious. They feel everything and still choose peace. They face the chaos and still choose direction. They hear the doubt and still choose belief. Because once you lock in, the world can scream, but you stay steady. Once you lock in, rejection doesn't shake your self-worth. Once you lock in, delays don't destroy your patience. You understand that life is less about what happens, and more about how you hold yourself when it does. The loudest power is quiet discipline. The strongest energy is still presence. The highest wisdom is silent certainty. This is what it means to be emotionally unshaken.